If you grew up being the parent in your own childhood, making your own meals at 8 years old, talking yourself through your own fears at night, or essentially raising yourself while the adults around you were physically present but emotionally absent, you carry a very specific type of psychological wiring. You probably feel like an alien among your peers. They complain about things that seem trivial to you. They fall apart over situations you handled alone with ease. And here's the strangest part. Even though you survived impossible odds, you feel like a fraud when people call you strong. You downplay it. You say, it wasn't that bad. But here's what psychology is now discovering. You weren't just surviving. You were unconsciously building what researchers call a survival architecture, a neural framework that makes you simultaneously incredibly capable and deeply exhausted. Before we break down why you feel so different from everyone else, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Now, to understand why you feel this constant underlying fatigue, we need to look at what happened in your developing brain. Childhood is supposed to be a kind, learning environment. You make mistakes, adults catch you, and you learn that the world has a safety net. But you didn't get that. You grew up in what developmental psychology calls a wicked environment. The rules changed daily. One day your parent was functional. The next day you were managing their emotional breakdown or figuring out why there was no food in the house. So your brain did something remarkable. It aged faster than it should have. Neuroscience shows that children who have to self-parent develop their prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning and emotional regulation, earlier than their peers. You were running adult-level problem-solving at an age when other kids were still learning to tie their shoes. This is why you feel 40 when you're 20. Your psychological age doesn't match your biological one. And here's where it gets even more complicated. That early forced maturity gave you superpowers that others don't have. You can read a room instantly. You know when someone is lying before they finish their sentence. You can manage chaos without flinching because chaos was your baseline. Psychologists call this hypervigilance, and in your case, it became your operating system. But the same skill that saved you as a child is now quietly destroying your adult life. You can't turn it off. You walk into a normal, calm situation, and your brain is still scanning for threats. Your partner forgets to text you back, and you don't just feel annoyed. You feel that old childhood panic. What did I do wrong? Are they leaving? You overfunction in relationships and at work because your nervous system learned that if you don't hold everything together, everything falls apart. Now, there's a specific emotional experience that almost no one talks about. You feel guilty for your own needs. When you were a child, needing something, needing comfort, needing help, was a luxury you couldn't afford. So you learned to amputate your needs. You became so good at not needing anything that now, as an adult, when someone offers you help, you physically recoil. You say, I'm fine, even when you're drowning. And the cruelest part? When you do let someone in, when you do admit you're struggling, you feel weak. This is what researchers call emotional self-sufficiency turned toxic. It saved you once. Now it's a prison. Now, here's what most of you don't understand. You didn't just miss out on a happy childhood. You missed out on learning how to receive. Most people learn as children that it's safe to be vulnerable. You never learnt that. So now you give endlessly, you support everyone, and you collapse in private. But here's the shift. Your survival architecture isn't a flaw. It's proof that you are one of the most adaptive humans on the planet. The goal now isn't to erase what you built, it's to retrofit it. You need to teach your nervous system that the emergency is over. This means practicing the skill you never learned, letting someone else hold something for you even when it feels unbearable. It means saying, I need help, and not immediately following it with, but it's fine, never mind. You raised yourself and you survived. But survival mode was never meant to be a permanent identity. You're allowed to graduate from it. If this hit home, drop a heart emoji in the comments and subscribe for more deep psychology.